Not slide, which line is this from? I'm trying to get into painting some miniatures a little more to work on my fine detail stuff. So yeah, I'm actually using 3 different lines of paint, but uh, as a rule, a general rule, I'm mostly using Citadel right here. Hold on a second, sorry. There we go. I'm mostly using Citadel. Citadel color. I'm sure you're aware of this stuff, and it's a fairly straightforward system of paint to use, and the results are pretty good and pretty consistent from paint to paint as a general rule. And one really nice thing about the Citadel line is that they have stuff like this. This is the Citadel Shade Reichland Flesh. And you can see it's really liquidy, really watery. And that's what I've been applying to the metal here in order to get that more dark and rich look. Because if you recall from previously, it was just a lot more bright and just too bright and shiny, right? And I wanted to kind of bring it down again because this is not a warrior that is intended to be a shiny and bright warrior, very dingy. So they make a number of paints like this, and they even have a dark wash, like a black shadowy wash, which is also really, really good from the Citadel line. However, in recent years and even as recent as a few weeks ago, I've been experimenting with other ranges of paint, and I have to say that they're all generally the same. They all, give or take a little difference. So this is the Army Painter range, and I have a few other colors from it, don't I? Well, this is the only one I have that I can find on me right now. And this is their silver paint. And this is also a pretty good line of paint. All of this is acrylic, by the way, and it's all water soluble. This stuff, I find that it's a little thicker coming out of the bottle, right? So you're going to want to thin it down with some water or some acrylic retardant, just a bit, and kind of mix it. I find that this stuff really needs a lot of shaking too. All of these paints, by the way, you should probably shake a lot before you use. I'm sure you're aware of all of that too. And even more recently, I've bought paint from this line, and I think in the future I want to buy more because I actually think it's pretty good from a price point and a quality standpoint. This is Game Color from Vallejo. And so this stuff applies really nicely. Just just a bit of water, just a little bit of water to make it flow better, and it's really nice. I'm liking this stuff so far. So this is Game Color. Bacon, is this acrylic? Yeah, these are all acrylic. This is Game Color from Vallejo, and I'll note one thing to note about this brand is that this is Game Color, and it's intended for like tabletop games, right? So for your Warhammer stuff, your War Machine, board game miniatures, it has a bit of a glossy quality to it, right? The actual paint ends up being kind of glossy, and they do that because it's a bit of protection from the wear and tear, from the handling, right? That gloss acts as like a little bit of protection. But Vallejo make another brand. It's still from Vallejo, and it's called Model Color, right? So very similar bottle, just here it'll say Model Color, and it has the same qualities as this paint in terms of like the flow and the feel. Like I really like the way this paint flows, and I like how it feels. It could be slightly better than Citadel in some respects, and the colors have very analogous brands, like they have colors. There's a chart where you can kind of cross over and find similar colors across different brands. But back to the Model Color, that I haven't bought any yet, but I'm gonna try some eventually because those sound really, really good, and I like this already. And the glossy quality of it doesn't bother me too much, just because I know I'm gonna be coating this with a top coat. All my models will be top coated with a matte, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. But yeah. just a little overview of paint. And this is finally, I'll finish off on this, of my little paint review. These here are Formula P3, and they come from Privateer Press. And I actually really like these as well. Like, I sort of consider the Citadel stuff like your standard paint. Like, it's just good quality to use from a starting point all the way to like high-end painting, like Golden Demon stuff. You can use Citadel paint and get good results. But as I said, I've been experimenting with different brands, just trying to see what they're like. And I like this stuff too. And this stuff reminds me of older Citadel paint from the 90s, the older brand, because at a certain point, Citadel changed their factory, their manufacturer, and the quality of their paint kind of changed a bit. And I do recall and remember their older brand of paint. And this stuff reminds me of their older stuff. And okay. This is what I'll finish off on. This is an example of the old paint from the 90s, shining gold, Citadel color. You can see the bottle is very different. This is the modern bottle. This is the new one. And this is shining gold right here. I still have a good amount of this stuff all the way back from the 90s. And this color here is just, it's a little tricky to find anything that's the equivalent of this. At least within Citadel themselves, they don't really make a gold quite like this anymore. So that's why I really cherish this one bottle here. And when this finally runs out, I'm going to have to buy like new old stock. Or maybe Vallejo or someone else makes shining gold very similar. But I love this color. This is old paint, and I still think it's pretty good. Bacon, you remember those bottles? Yeah, those are good bottles. They had an era where they had really shitty bottles, and now they're onto these, which are pretty okay.